What's up, everybody? This is the second episode of the pilot of the PR Bunker. Still trying to figure out what I'm doing with this damn thing, but got three things for you today. Business as usual, what's a reputation, and how to drive sales through engagement. All right, the first topic today is about business as usual. Here we are, stuck at home, working remotely because of the coronavirus, but I feel that business has been kind of rolling along as usual, if usual is usual these days. What I mean by that is people need to try to get back to business. Work around the issues, work around the technology, do calls, do Zooms, get in front of people, and offer your help. What I'm finding is that there's always one or two things you can help people with, whether it be make another connection or just give them an idea of how to enhance their business. The key is how you can do it in a way that drives your business. So in my business and communications, it's about being able to communicate to an audience in a way that's effective and getting them to do kind of what you want them to do. So for example, I've got a potential client I'm trying to engage with that's in the human resources space, and he should be out there talking about what it takes to get a job in the economy that's basically friggin' shit the bed. But he's not out there doing it. He's out there posting a couple articles here and there on LinkedIn, but is really not leveraging his expertise, 20 plus years in the space to guide people through what's going on in this economy and how, despite the madness and disruption, there are jobs out there and you can find them. And here's some tips to do so. So if I'm giving him counsel, I would be pushing out articles to a variety of trade verticals, getting on TV, radio, and talking about what it's going to take to land a job in this economy based on what's going on right now. Regardless of whether the economy comes back or doesn't come back, things have changed dramatically. So thought leadership is super important. And if you have something to say, then say it, but do it in a way that's going to drive value for the society and for the audience that you're sort of focused on in general. But this guy in particular has to be out there talking about what it takes to get a job these days in this economy. And as a communicator, my job is to figure out how he can be out there talking about these topics and making sure the stuff is fresh, it's relevant, and it's in the channels that he has to be in to drive influence and drive his business. And that's where I come in, understanding what it takes to get people to listen, to read, and to engage. All I need is somebody who has a good opinion to be out there talking about very specific topics that I can then find a home for. So the point there is with this particular part of the podcast here is continue to conduct business as usual. Just find different lanes to do it. So the last couple things I got for you today are about reputation and sales, and they're related, and I'll get to that in a second. So the first thing is about reputation. After Kobe Bryant's passing, a lot of people talked about his legacy and what he did as a basketball player, as a father, and as a philanthropic leader in our community. But at the same time, people forget about the issues he went through when he was younger. A lot of bad things about his character and other things that came out. But over time, those things were healed, and you kind of forgot about them. The point here is that reputations in business can be created over time, and it takes a lot of work to keep them, positive and keep them in a way that is going to, elevate your business, but they can be ruined in seconds. But the way you sort of maintain a positive reputation in business, regardless of an individual or for your company, is really building trust with your audience. Are you delivering on what you're promising? And is your communications authentic and honest? Are you delivering on everything you have promised through that engagement? Are you being honest about the quality of your products, the quality of your people, the quality of the service, and to deliver on the small things? And do you do it as a way to not just, build goodwill with your customers, but also enhance that reputation? And it's not about the PR, it's not about the visibility, it's not about the news coverage, it's about doing the right thing for your customers. And people forget about that in business. It's probably the most important thing you got to do is, maintain those relationships. And if you do the right thing by the people that you service, that's how your reputation gets built. Not by a bunch of PR and spin and a bunch of bullshit, through LinkedIn and everything else. It's about delivering on honest to goodness, good service, and having your customers, best interests in mind. And if you can align their interests with your business, then you're driving sales. So my last point here is basically about driving sales, and it really pertains to the second point around reputation. Sales is hard. Nobody likes doing it, but at some point in your life, you will be selling something to somebody, whether it's you're selling yourself for a job, selling your, financial health and wellness to buy a house or a car, or trying to convince your, significant other to marry you or something. At some point in your life, you're going to be selling something to somebody, and it's to understand that process is to do it well and to do it, pretty well and to be successful at it. In my world, it's about building that trust and reputation and being honest with people and providing them with good counsel so they trust you to give them their business. And my last point here is around sales, is particularly around engagement. To do it right, you've got to be engaged. You've got to be in front of your sales targets in a very authentic, transparent, and honest way. And if you can do that and you can be there when they need you, then you can convert the sale. Sometimes you can force the issue and do different things to get people to shit or get off the pot. But at the same time, sales does take time. And sometimes you can close a piece of business in a week. Sometimes it's a month. Sometimes it's 2 fucking years. So regardless of the time that you spend trying to cultivate leads, if you can be authentic and honest and be in their queue on a regular basis and provide them with some good value and engage with them, really get to know them, and whether it be you're servicing 1,000 people, 10,000 people, or hundreds of thousands of people around the country, or millions in the case of like Amazon, if you can deliver in an honest way and engage with them in a way that is sort of comfortable and transparent and honest, and they feel like they are getting the best service, then you can drive sales. And regardless of all the bullshit we're going through now with coronavirus, you can still do that. And I know it's virtual and we're doing Zooms and everything else, but delivering on that promise can be done regardless if you're in front of people or you're doing it virtually. So this last point, you can drive sales. You just got to make sure that everything else you've worked so hard for in terms of building that reputation is in alignment. And the hardest part of all this is delivering on that on a regular basis, day in and day out, even when the shit does hit the fan. So be honest, be transparent, and deliver with quality. Don't just deliver for shits and giggles, but deliver with quality. It's funny. As I'm recording these segments piece by piece, I had to stop to take a call from a client, and that client extended our contract for the next 4 years. I was pretty shocked by the news, but at the same time, I thought about what I just talked about in terms of delivering quality and being a good resource and being a good business partner. And I guess that's what happens if you do good in business and you provide good work and good value. It comes back to you. So cheers to me. Cheers to the company. Cheers to the Belfort Group. Anyway, so this is the end of the podcast here. So I'll see you guys soon. Peace.